What's going on, guys? This is the ElectricVideoGamer, and I'm going to talk about my thoughts on day 2 of E3, which consists of Square Enix conference, UbiSoft's conference, and Sony's. It's late again because Sony's conference went late again, but I feel more inclined to talk to you guys about these. So let's go ahead and jump right in, talk about Square Enix. And as my main complaint with this conference, there's not much to say about Square Enix's. It's mostly just the stuff that we already knew about. A lot of it was already announced in either Xbox's conference or it's stuff that we just already knew about beforehand. Like, I could probably count on one hand what new things they showed us. Being like the release date for Dragon Quest XI and their new IP, two new IPs actually, the Quiet one, which interests me a little bit. I think that's what it's called, the Quiet one, or the Quiet Man, or the Silent Man, I forget. And then their other new IP, which I think is called Babylon Lost, something like that. Yeah, that was pretty much the only new stuff they showed, because their other announcements were the ones we've heard of before. Nier coming to Xbox. Hey, Octopath Traveler exists, so check it out, type deal. Showing Dragon Quest XI. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which they spent a good deal of time mulling over. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which seems interesting, but I mean, it's just 1,000 Ways to Die simulator again. I don't know. I like Uncharted, so Tomb Raider does kind of interest me, but it's not something I'll play. It's really not. And then beyond that, I mean, there was nothing else really of note. Nothing really worth mentioning. They did talk about Final Fantasy XIV Online, which has a crossover with Monster Hunter World. So that's cool. That's nice, but in the end, it's just a lot of been here, done that. Not much new. And what really sucks, at least for me personally, is nothing for Switch. Nothing for Switch. They just made the mention of Octopath Traveler, and that was it. So that personally frustrated me to no end, because I was expecting a lot of Square Enix something, because of all the news we had heard beforehand. It sounded like Square Enix was all in on Switch, so I was expecting a lot of Switch related announcements. But nope. Just Octopath for Switch. Nothing else. But yeah, aside from that, I mean, whether you are a Switch fanboy like me or not, either way, there was just not a lot of new stuff. So if I had to grade Square Enix, I'd probably give them a solid 4 or 5 out of 10. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the relatively new stuff they did show, like the Monster Hunter crossover and the Quiet Man and Babylon Lost, or whatever those games are called, I'm sorry. Those were cool, but everything else, we've been there, done that. Alright, so that was quick. Moving on to Ubisoft, and Ubisoft's press conference was so good. They opened up with a nice little Just Dance section, which was kind of, yeah, I honestly don't count that as part of the presentation. They're always going to show Just Dance. I'll admit, I'm glad they got it out of the way when they did, very early on. Because as soon as they left with that, they went right into Beyond Good and Evil 2, which surprised even me. It still seems like it's a long ways out, but with how much they showed, seems like it might be closer than we think. That being said, the gameplay they showed was pre-alpha, so we don't know. They showed Crew 2, just going through a sizzle reel here. In no particular order, they showed the Crew 2, which looks interesting. Just Cause 4 also seems interesting. The Division 2, which they didn't go into a deep dive on that. Xbox already took care of that, so they had time to talk about other things. Big thing, they had a nice Grant Kirkhope concert for Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, the Donkey Kong DLC. So that was awesome. You could hear hints of the DK rap, DK, whoo, Donkey Kong. And then of course the original Donkey Kong theme, which is always a pleasure to listen to. Grant Kirkhope, you're the dude. You're awesome, man. I appreciate all you do. But yeah, I might have to check out that DLC. I've been holding back on the season pass for a while now, but that's partially because I haven't even finished the game. I'm still stuck on the spoiler alert. Skip ahead if you don't want to be spoiled. But I'm still stuck on the Rabbid Waluigi part of the game. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, that was awesome. The big thing, at least to me, they showed off Starlink, which I was already kind of into, because I'm thinking, oh, it's a nice little Toys to Life thing where you put the ships on the controllers. That's neat. And then I turn around for like 1 second, and then I turn back. I'm like, wait, what's this? What's this? Who's this furry guy? Those eyes, those eyes, that visor, they look familiar. Then I see the Star Fox logo. I'm like, floored. I'm absolutely floored. They put my man Star Fox. They put Star Fox into Starlink, and you can get. It's exclusive to Nintendo Switch. No other exclusives on any other console. I think Ubisoft just dethroned Bethesda as the best Switch supporter. I genuinely think Ubisoft just dethroned Bethesda as the best Western developed Switch supporter. So good on you, Ubisoft, for getting Star Fox into Starlink. That is awesome, and I look forward to more crossovers. Assassin's Creed, Zelda, anyone? Could happen. At this point, it could happen. But yeah, that was awesome. Like I tweeted out before, this went from I'll pick it up sometime to like a day one buy. So Starlink, good job, you're on my radar. Okay. And also, another game that they announced coming to all platforms, including Switch, is Trials. A new Trials game. I for the life of me, because I know Trials Fusion, but I for the life of me cannot remember the name of this game. I don't know why, but I mean, it's a Trials game, and I've always been interested in the Trials games because they just seem like such dumb fun. That's basically what they are, is just dumb fun. But yeah, I'll be perfectly honest, this is Trials Rising. That's what it's called. There we go. Trials Rising. But yeah, Trials Rising looks really awesome. I'm honestly very happy about that, and I'm so glad it's coming to Switch. So I get to try it out. I love the Trials. I love looking at the Trials game. I love seeing people play it. I always wanted to play it myself, but it flew under the radar after, many more games were coming out. But now I'll definitely take interest in it. And then, of course, it wouldn't be... I promise, they showed at least like 3 or 4 trailers of different kind of games that I could have sworn were Assassin's Creed. And then it's like, nope, it's Skull and Bones. Oh, is this Assassin's Creed? No, it's For Honor. oh, well, this has to be Assassin's Creed, right? No, it's a brand new IP. I'm like, well, I guess they're not going to show... I know they're going to show Assassin's Creed at some point. And then the very last trailer, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to jump the gun this time. It's probably not Assassin's Creed. And of course it's Assassin's Creed. just how I planned it. But yeah. And Assassin's Creed Odyssey takes place in ancient Greece. And I appreciate, because I was listening to what's his name? Dreamcast guy, who was talking about his thoughts on the press conference. And he mentioned that, you know, Greece was the time where technology started to properly develop. But the problem was they were ravaged with war, particularly with the Spartans. So when I thought about it from that angle, I just got, because I wouldn't say I love, but I always taken an interest in ancient history, particularly Bible history, biblical history, but also the history that existed concurrent with events in the Bible, because you got to know the real world stuff that happened around that time as well. So it definitely piqued my interest. It definitely seemed like something pretty cool. I probably won't play it though. I'm not really into Assassin's Creed as much as I like the history behind it. That's what Uncharted's for. And I guess at some point, if I want to get into that series, Tomb Raider. So, but yeah, that was Ubisoft Spot On Conference. Just Dance docked you some points, but I guess it'll dock you some points regardless, because Just Dance takes up too much time for what it is. So unfortunately, you don't get a perfect score, but you do get a high one because of all the different announcements you had, the abundance of Switch support, which by the way, I think you showed the most Switch support in your presentation than anyone from E3 has at all. So Ubisoft, great job. Yeah, I give you guys, personally, like subjectively, I would give you guys a 9. Like seriously, good job. But objectively, Just Dance kind of brought you down. But you know what? I think you'd still get pretty close to a 9. I'll give you an 8.5. I'll give you an 8.5 objectively. Because I think Just Dance was really Ubisoft's only blight in that entire presentation. Although I guess the For Honor DLC kind of, but that's still an 8.5. So yeah, good job Ubisoft, good job. Okay, and now moving on to Sony. For PlayStation, alright. PlayStation's, I just finished watching it. It was decent. It was decent. It started out, I'll be real, it started out really bad. It started out really slow because they were doing like these musical sections for announcing their games. And while I enjoy the musical interlude, it took too long. It's the same problem I had with the Just Dance section. You could argue, hey, what about the Donkey Kong thing? They played that alongside a trailer. That's okay. That's perfectly fine. It's just live music instead of recorded music. What's the difference? They still showed the trailer. Didn't take up a lot of time. So, yeah. They did that for the beginning. They showed The Last of Us Part 2, which is trying to do a lot, to be real. I'm definitely not going to pick up the game. And I'll be real, I kind of lost interest. It's definitely something that I can understand people being excited for, but I'm not one of those people. Okay. Um, I am one of Jehovah's Witnesses, so there are certain things that just don't slide by. Last of Us 2 is too violent. Like, I actually had to turn my head a few times during that trailer. And also, apparently Ellie is gay. I mean, I guess there were signs of that in the DLC for original Last of Us Left Behind, but I didn't think they would go that route. But then again, it is Naughty Dog, so I can't say I'm surprised. Not saying anything against Naughty Dog, just saying that, you know, studios evolve. Not everyone in the world is one of Jehovah's Witnesses, so they're going to go a certain direction different from me. So, yeah, I just didn't see it coming, pretty much. So, Last of Us Part 2, it's a good thing they showed it. It's certainly what a lot of people have been looking forward to. No release date. I don't think they even got a window, which surprised me. But, it seems interesting. It's not for me. It is absolutely not for me. I've lost complete and total interest in that. But I hope people enjoy it. I'll say the people who want to enjoy it, they can enjoy it. I'm not going to berate anyone. Anyway, moving on, they showed Ghost of Tsushima. Now, this is when things started to pick up. Ghost of Tsushima looks awesome. I've always been someone who was attracted to the Mongol side of history, the Mongol portion of history, because that was like the death and rebirth of Japan, the Ragnarok of Japan, so to speak, was when the Mongols took over. So to see these samurai come together and take down these Mongols, it's pretty awesome. However, the only problem I see with it is that it kind of showed a trend that I'm starting to see with a lot of PlayStation games, which is over-the-shoulder walking. Well, not walking simulator, but you kind of get what I'm saying. Every single game that they showcase, it's over the shoulder of a character, and there's not a lot of forward movement. It's very grounded. And grounded is okay, but I prefer fantasy. And I'll get to that later because there was something that really got me hyped. But yeah, there was that. They showed off the Resident Evil 2 remake, which was crazy. I didn't know what this was at first. I wasn't sure at all. I thought it was Spider-Man because they were following this little rat. But I didn't know it was a rat. I was thinking, oh, it might be a spider actually. Might be getting ready to bite Peter Parker. No, it was a rat, and it got crushed by a beam. And then I saw the dude biting into the neck of another dude, and I'm like, I know this isn't Days Gone. Definitely one of those post-apocalyptic zombie movies, or zombie games, but I know this isn't Days Gone because they've already talked about it. And then I looked at the chat, they were talking about Leon. I looked back, and I'm like, oh, that is Leon. So I'm like, okay, so it's Resident Evil 2. So yeah, it showed Resident Evil 2 remake. Seems interesting. Not been a fan of Resident Evil, except for the funny ones with Chris and Wesker, because Proton John has ruined me. Thank you very much, John. Anywho, moving on. This video's getting long. Then they showed their third game for their lineup, which was Death Stranding. And I can't even describe the trailer. I can't describe the game because doggone it, Kojima. That's all I can say is doggone it, Kojima. I don't understand what this game is. I feel like every time I see this game, I have less and less of an understanding of what it is. So, Kojima, if you're trying I feel like you're actively trying to confuse people who want to be into this game. And if you are, good job. If that was your goal all along, then good job. You're succeeding. uh, it definitely seems it's like a good information block. It's like, okay, well, we're gonna keep you guessing. Not like, all right, we're gonna keep all this information from you. You gotta figure it out yourself, because screw you, sucker. No, it's not like that. But yeah, Death Stranding seems kind of interesting. The baby thing is weird. The invisible people with invisible umbilical cords is weird. The fact that these people walk on feet or something when they're coming near is weird. He's got to hold his breath, which is weird. Everything about this game is weird, and I kind of like it. And then they announced Neo 2, which surprised me. I didn't know what it was because it was talking about, you know, what's their names? Koei Tecmo, Team Ninja. So I'm thinking, oh, it's a new Ninja Gaiden. But no, it's Neo. So I'm like, alright. I mean, I'm okay with that because that means that the likelihood of a new Ninja Gaiden coming on Switch is a little higher now. Sweet. So when that new Ninja Gaiden comes out, you know what to do, Koei. You know what to do. And then they showed more Kingdom Hearts. This time in the Pirates of the Caribbean world. So they showed off Captain Jack Sparrow and Pirate Sora, Donald, and Goofy. So yay for more Kingdom Hearts is what I would say if I was more interested in the series. Fortunately, they are releasing an all-in-one pack for the PS4, so if my curiosity goes to the extreme, I can pick that up and just play every single game in the series, and boom, I'm good. So that's awesome. And then finally, the pièce de résistance. The major player. My man. Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man. They finally showed off some more Spider-Man. Basically, the trailer goes as follows. Electro goes to a prison, island prison, to try and break all the criminals out. So Spider-Man and his partner Yuri go to stop them. Electro takes down the helicopter Yuri's in. Spider-Man saves her. She goes to the computer room to investigate what's going on while Spider-Man chases Electro. Beats down a bunch of escaped prisoners, chases after Electro, only to be bombarded by Rhino, Scorpion, Vulture, and Mr. Negative. So basically, five of Spider-Man's villains are trying to take him out. And there's one person that's controlling all of them. 5 plus 1 is what? We can math to 7. No, it's 6. Sinister 6. They are pushing the Sinister 6 for this, and I could not be happier. And then, of course, the trailer, for lack of a better term, blue-balled us by teasing us with this villain that's looming over Spider-Man, and Spider's just like, you? And then the trailer ends. We don't see the villain at all. We don't know who this villain is. But if I had to take a wild guess, considering it's Sinister 6, I mean, it's gotta be Dr. Octopus, right? It has to be Doc Ock. I mean, it could be Green Goblin, but those are the only two I can see. If we're talking like big Spider-Man villains that would control the Sinister Six, it has to be either Green Goblin or Dr. Octopus. And my money's on Dr. Octopus. So yeah. With Spider-Man, that looks like it plays so good. It's so fast-paced. It looks like a faster Batman game. Like a Batman Arkham game, but way faster, way more eventful, just souped up. That game is a priority for me. It comes out in September, so I don't know, because I'm pretty sure Smash is going to come out in September as well. Speaking of which, oh my goodness, I am 12 hours away from watching Smash Brothers reveal. That realization just hit me. Okay, I'm super excited right now. I need to get some sleep. Grade for Sony. Grades for Sony. Right. Let me give Sony a grade. Objectively, I'd give them a 5.5 out of 10. Or not objectively, subjectively, I give them a 5.5 out of 10. Solely for the fact that The Last of Us Part 2 completely forsook me for what I stand for. And that was a fourth of their conference. And I have no interest in Resident Evil, and Death Stranding still confuses me. But Ghost of Tsushima and, of course, Spider-Man did bring up the score. But objectively, I'd give them a 6.5. Because what they said they would talk about, they talked about, and aside from like Neo 2 and Control, which is another game that they showed off, a new game that they showed off, which actually does seem kind of interesting, although it does look like another one of those over-the-shoulder walking simulators. It looks a lot like, it basically looks like if Uncharted and Doctor Strange had a baby. So, I don't know. But even then, still just not a lot of surprises. Even though I was pleasantly surprised by Sinister Six, still weren't a ton of surprises. So I'd say 6.5. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up for day 2 of E3 2018. Nintendo was next, and I couldn't be more excited. Alright, here's hoping for Rex, Pyra, Wonder Red, and Paper Mario and Smash Brothers. So I'll see you guys tomorrow for when I talk about Nintendo. Later.